Welcome back for another video. For the next video in the pre-season series, we're going to be looking at your latest FPL teams. These are always really fun to record. We've got a good variety of approaches to look at here, including a Game Week 1 bench boost team. Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at FPL teams from past champions, and also my new team will be coming on Saturday, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that as well. There's a 47% pre-season discount running right now on Scout. I've been a member for 8 straight years, and 3 of those were from before I even started making FPL content, which underlines how good that I truly think it is. You get an unbelievable amount. A few examples: custom data tables. You can make tables about literally anything that you want to measure. The fixture ticker tool, player comparison, recalculated player points with defensive contributions and assists from last season, award-winning articles and loads more. Click the link below to get 47% off for pre-season. So let's have a look at some FPL drafts. FPL Thorpey first. It's gone Kelleher, Cucurella, Williams, Gueye, Senesi, Salah, Palmer, Saka, Wirtz, Adingra and Watkins. So it's a 4-5-1, which you don't see often. And he said, I'm tempted to go with 4 at the back to take advantage of the defensive contributions and plaster over the lack of budget options in the attack. And he said the bench needs to be a bit stronger, and I feel I'll have to find the money from somewhere. Yeah, the bench is a massive issue here. Like, you got Thorpey Jr. and Barnes. They're barely going to get minutes, if any. So you've just got 4 mil as Stev that's going to play. Rotating 4.5 mil keepers can often backfire as well. That's a good tip I'll give you. I mean, I've been there myself over the years where you think you've got a perfect fixture on lined up. But what we often don't anticipate is that keepers rack up save points against those tougher teams. And even on the odd occasion, against the odds, they can keep clean sheets against really good oppositions when it wasn't predicted, and that often leaves you with some hauls benched. So you could go down to a 4 mil keeper, that gives you 0.5 mil straight away. It's the first draft that I've seen that's got 3 premiums squeezed in. He's got Salah, Palmer and Saka. Obviously Watkins at 9 mil as well, that's eating up a lot of budget overall. I mean, something's got to give here to make 3 premiums work, and I would say Wirtz is probably the solution if you really want to have 3 premiums. If you took him down to a 6.5 mil mid like Saar, Kudus and Dye, then you could go from Barnes to a 6.5 mil forward, and that's a huge difference to your squad depth straight away. Gueye and Senesi have got really rough Game Week 1 fixtures as well. I know there is that DC potential, but I'm just not keen on having Gueye away at Chelsea and then Senesi away at Liverpool Game Week 1, so I'd also try to improve your defender fixture run. FPL Andy Mack with a completely different approach here. He says no Salah, no Haaland, no problem. He's gone Kelleher, Vardiel, Rodon, Van Dijk, Palmer, Saka, Eze, Wirtz, Rodgers, Isak and Watkins. I've not seen a draft quite like this one either. So he's got Palmer, Saka and Isak, and also Watkins really as the premiums. I mean, they could definitely make up the points that Salah and Haaland will get, but I think the most important thing to keep in mind as well is captaincy, and it looks pretty good. You can alternate between the premiums here. So Palmer Game Week 1, Saka Game Week 2 when he's got Leeds, Palmer Game Week 3, etc. The thing is, Isak's just a huge question mark right now, isn't he? Like, he didn't travel on their pre-season tour because he wants out reportedly. Will he end up at Liverpool? So let's talk about that as well. How do you guys think Isak does if he signs for Liverpool? Like, on paper, you'd say, oh, he's a no-brainer. Like, it's a much better team. That all said, he will lose penalties to Salah, you'd expect. And he was the main man at Newcastle. Everything was going through him. Whereas, yeah, at Liverpool, the goal share really could be distributed more. You'd expect Salah to still rack up a majority of their goals. So with that all in mind, I'm staying clear of Isak for the time being to see how it all plays out. Of course, if he's officially staying at Newcastle, then undoubtedly he's a great pick again for this season. You might have forgot to update captaincy here as well, but I'd rather go for Palmer over Isak in Game Week 1, even if he does stay. Last thing to mention is it's very light this bench as well. Like, you've got 2 4 mil defenders and you've got 4.5 mil forward that won't play. None of the 4.5 mil forwards are going to be starters that we know of currently. Gu is someone that's worth mentioning. He's in talks to go from Chelsea to Sunderland on loan reportedly. In theory, Eze to Saar isn't much of a downgrade, and that does give you 1 million extra. Like, Saar actually beat Eze by 1 point last season, and he did have a superior XGI. So that gives you an extra 1 mil for the bench there as well. Or you could lose Vardiel down to a 5.5 mil defensive contribution pick like Murillo or Milenkovic. We've got a Gyökeres draft from Asher. He's gone Raya Colwell, Wan-Bissaka, Van der Ven, and Dye, Palmer, Wirtz, Rodgers, Solanke, Haaland and Gyökeres. So no Salah is the headline here, and it's Haaland captain. I've actually got really high hopes for Gyökeres. Like, something we touched on in another video is I think he's going to have a great season, but does he get the start in game week 1? Given that he's had no pre-season with Sporting or Arsenal, so he might lack the match fitness to be starting. Could be an impact sub the first game, for example. Maybe Havertz starts up top. In the most recent pre-season match, which was against Spurs as well, Havertz started up top, Gyökeres was on the bench. So it's high risk, high reward when it's that kind of money as well. Whereas, assuming that Watkins stays at Villa, he's the same price and we know what we're going to get from him. And he does have better fixtures as well. He's averaged 196 points per season over the last 3 years, Watkins. And as I say, nice fixture run. So, yeah, I think another thing you could change, rather than going Raya and Colwill, you could go for Sanchez, who's the same price as Colwill, 5 million, and then go for a 5.5 mil defender like your Morelos, Milenkovic, Munoz, who've got significantly more upside than Raya does. Solanke is an interesting one. He was really disappointing last season when we thought he'd probably do well going from Bournemouth to Spurs, a better team on paper. But yeah, I do agree with the pick, and I can see myself owning him game week 1. It's a really nice opening fixture, and Frank is all about generating high XG chances. He's a really, really data-driven manager. So it could still be a great season for Solanke, like he had in 23-24. Nice team. Let's do a couple more. Talk FPL's opted for Watkins and doubled up with Rodgers as well, who actually both just scored in Villa's latest pre-season game. They were the only goal scorers of the game. And in fact, 4 days earlier, they were also the only goal scorers in their game against Eintracht Frankfurt. So they're both having a decent pre-season so far. His full team is Sels, Munoz, Nori, Williams, Salah, Rodgers, Palmer, and Dyer, Mitoma, Solanke and Watkins. And by the way, if you're wondering why I read out all the names, all of my videos are also uploaded to podcast platforms, so if you're only able to listen sometimes rather than watch, then you can search FPL Focal on Spotify or Apple Music, etc. And you'll find all my content there as well in podcast format. So yeah, Munoz, he's one I feel like is going massively under the radar. I know he's got Chelsea away game week 1, but he's like owning a winger in your team in terms of how advanced he plays, but he's classified as a defender in FPL. I think he got something like 10 goal involvements last season, really good underlying data, and he's even alright for defensive contribution points. Anyway, yeah, I'm expecting Nori to start in game week 1, but yeah, whether he's completely nailed is a huge question mark. But the upside is absolutely there. Vardio and Ruben Dias probably the centre-back pair in game week 1, perhaps Nunez or Akanji in right-back as well. This is my favourite draft of all the ones we've looked at so far, but I think I'll be biased because it does correlate quite closely to my current team. That said, I think Salah is actually my favourite of the 6.5 mil midfielders. He was so frustrating at times last season, but he did go on some really good runs, so you want to just catch him at the right time, which is often the case with these 6.5 mil mids. They're kind of streaky. You rarely get consistent ones. His underlying numbers were miles better than the rest of the 6.5 mil mids. Though, yeah, if Eze does leave, which is loosely rumoured at the moment, then I'd say that does lose some appeal for Salah. Double Forest defence is maybe a bit overkill as well, like Sels could be Sanchez. But yeah, really solid team, just a slightly light bench. Hickey's not nailed as well, so you could go for Esteve or Gudmundsson or Bijou, who look better and more reliable for starts. Last one then, Yusuf has got his bench boost active and it's Sanchez, Udogie, Williams, Aina, and Dye, Enzo, Hudson-Odoi, Salah, Welbeck, Haaland and Solanke. And the benches for Bruggen, Adingra, Van der Ven and De Kuyper. It's a really solid bench for the chip, and I do really like the idea of just getting the chip out of the way game week 1. Like pretty much all of us are starting the season with players that aren't going to play, whether that's a 4 mil backup keeper, a 4.5 mil mid or a forward. So for us in that scenario, the bench boost is out of the question without at least spending one transfer there first later. Or of course, if you bench boost after your wildcard later, then the trade-off there is we've got extra money invested on our benches, whereas those that use it out of the gates, they can focus their funds on getting the best possible starting 11 instead. However, if you wait until later to use the chip, then the other side of the coin is we'll have a much better idea of who the best budget picks are. So yeah, unsurprisingly, there's pros and cons, which is why there's really divided opinions on it. In this team's case, you are taking double Spurs and double Forest defence into future game weeks. Is that a position that you want to be in longer term? You could go for a West Ham defender, that works, such as Wan-Bissaka. He's got Sunderland game week 1. Or have a look at the game week 2 bench boost. I've not seen that talked about much, but there's some really nice fixtures there as well. Esteve is 4 mil. He's got Sunderland home game week 2. I don't mind bench boosting that. Keep a close eye on Spurs injury news as well, because you've got Udogie and Solanke that are both carrying knocks. Neither of them were included in Tottenham's squad to face Arsenal. I prefer Anderson to Hudson-Odoi at the moment as well. Obviously it's a DC's pick, whereas Hudson-Odoi is an attacker, but he's 0.5 mil cheaper as well, and I think he's going to tick along with points, Anderson. Really solid bench boost team though. As I say, tomorrow we're going to be looking at FPL teams from past champions, and then the day after we'll look at my latest draft. So make sure you are subscribed. There's loads of pre-season content to come. See you soon for the next one.